boy. Alright, so here we are back at it again. I had already planned on taking the seats out of the G35 and putting the ones out of the ones that we scrapped back in it, the grayer ones, at least the front ones. So I've already got the front one took out on this side, and I let it down off the lift and rolled it back so I can get the door open to get up in there to drop the factory master cylinder. And because it's actually, you know, you're going to go up under here to get to the 2 bolts and the clip. And so I took that seat out, had to fight it. The wires were cut on it. The good thing is the factory wires to the seat are actually good, so I'll be able to put my little seat in and it'll be able to work. I can adjust it forwards, backwards, and that type of stuff. So evidently they had some seats in it prior to me getting this car, and they just jammed those crappy things in there or something. So I do have those seats to put back in, so I rolled it back again to be able to get in there because I'm fat. And so yeah, let's find those 2 bolts, pull the old master cylinder out, and then we'll try to put the new one in. And before we do actually go ahead and start installing that, I did go ahead and pull the clutch line back out, the actual line that goes to the slave cylinder. And the slave cylinder is the one down on the bottom that hooks to the transmission, that actually moves the fork where it moves your throwout bearing in and out. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and put everything on this. So all I gotta do, I don't have to do any work down in the hard to reach place besides shove this through, and then all the rest of the work will go on the inside of the car, the adjustments here, putting the nuts on and stuff. And so I just shove the lines where they live, this through, and then that gives me where I have to go back inside and work. And so I'm not trying to put this stuff together in this little cramped area. So I think that's going to be the best route. So let me get the old one out, and then we'll see about how that fits. Okay, so we're under the dash here. We're looking at the clutch arm. I'm trying to figure out what I'm actually looking at here on the camera. So I don't know if I can get anything to zoom in here, it's so dark. If you can see, I don't know how it's going to look on camera, but there's a little gray or gold ring right there. Alright, see that little gold clip? You reach, pull that jewel out. Alright, you got that jewel out. There is a pin that goes inside that. Inside there. Push that through and pull it out from the back side, and that frees that up from there. Okay, now there will be a right there. Let's see if I can show you better. There will be I think it's a 10. And we're definitely not in the right place here. See if I can get you right here. I think we got a better approach at it right here. Alright, so that actually is your neutral safety switch right there that you're looking at. So if you ever need to change that, that's what that is. Okay, so if you'll go right above it, that bolt back there, that is one of the master cylinder's bolts that you take loose. And if you'll come to the left of your actual pedal, which we got to kind of lean in here to get it, my camera right. Yeah, I had a light on it just a second. That bolt right there, that is your second bolt to the actual clutch master cylinder. So you'll have to take those 2 bolts out, and once you get those 2 bolts out, that master cylinder will come right out. Now that we have the clip off of the bar at the middle. So, alright, let me take those out. Okay, so we got that one off right there, and like I said, the other one's to the left of the pedal, and it's crazy hard to see with this camera and the lighting and stuff, but it's to the left, right somewhere right in there. I'm determined to get this light on it. Alright, so yeah, right there, and they're not 10s, they're actually both 12s. I don't know why I said 10s. I knew what they were. I took this one, not this one, but I changed one on a 350Z, but they're 12s, and there's one on each side of the clutch lever. So they're loose, and so we'll go to under the hood. Okay. My phone's been blowing up all stinking day. Alright, so now there's the jewel. And so if I can get my phone laid here just right to get our light on it. And this is why I don't want to try to work down in this area here, because it's going to be a pain. And there's the old culprit. This thing actually looks newer, so it may have been changed before. But these are notorious for going bad. So it actually looks pretty good, but everything down in there usually does. It doesn't get that dirty down in that area. So we got that one out. Let's get the other one kind of configured down in there. Okay, so before I do that, one thing you want to kind of look at. Okay, so you got this one sitting upright. You got this one sitting upright. So the bolts are gonna, you see why you had to have the adapter for this. Well, you want to kindly put your bolt lengths about the same, and then see the difference in where your pin lives. You want to try to get that pretty close to the same length that you had previous, roughly. So we may have to shorten or lengthen that, and once we get that adjusted a little bit, we will see where we need to go from there. So I'll have to figure that out, try to get as close as I can, and you still may have to adjust it once you get in there. I usually do. But we'll get that in, and we'll try to get her set in there. It's hard to do with one person on this part, because what you end up having to do is you can't put the nuts all the way up on, so sometimes you have to push this back out of the hole to be able to take this pin and spin it and adjust everything a little bit on this piece. So it's hard to turn it inside there, so it ends up being a little bit of a pain. So yeah, so you can actually turn this piece though, but it's just hard to get a hold of it in there without, you know, messing up the threads or whatever. So all right, let's try to set it down in there and see if we're pretty close. Okay, so there's the end of the hose that goes, you'll see right there's the assembly, and that's where it lives. So you can definitely see why I say, if you can, tighten everything up here. So that leaves us a little slack to push it in or out from inside there to adjust the thing. The arm, I did actually pull the arm off of it, give myself some more room. I'll just have to thread it on in there. This one seems a little bulkier than the one that came on the kit I installed before. I just figured it'd be easier to do it that way. So now we'll go back under the dash. We'll start our two nuts on there and get this deal back on. I got it installed here, so you can see this is the new piece, the billet here, and voila, and she's in. The bolts are there and the other side. Everything's good and snug, so my pin's in. Everything's adjusted. I'll have to, once I bleed everything, I'll have to readjust this, I think, to what makes me happy. But it's in, and the way you adjust it, there's a nut that you may have seen it in some of the earlier pictures of this stuff. On the back, there's a nut back here, and you can actually turn that nut, and it will cause the rod inside to turn, or you can actually turn that rod yourself, you know, grab something with that rod and turn it, and that will spin inside that, and that way you don't have to unhook everything. So you can actually adjust it with that rod with the thread on it if you can get a hold of it. Usually you can get a hold of it on the back here and make your adjustments. So yeah, let me take a look on the outside, see what everything looks like, make sure it pulled up good, and crawl my fat butt out of here. But that's finished product right there. So I don't know how it translates on camera, but that's the best I can get, I think. So, all right. And this is the predicament I'm in. If you think working on cars is easy, I've had to take the seat out, which I was going to take the seat out anyway, and I've done the 350Z without taking the seat out. So that's the predicament I was in. Alright, so I hooked my piece up. My hose ended up being that much too long, so I cut an inch or so off of that actual factory hose. Alright, so now I went ahead and got me some brake cleaner, and I sprayed everything down. And that way I can tell if I got leaks, because I sprayed the brake cleaner and I let it all dry, and then once it's good and dry, and you can see the difference in the fluid now. But once my brake cleaner dries, I will be able to tell if I have any leaks down in there. I will actually leave the tail of it, if you can see it there. The tail, I'll find something to catch in, and I will actually hit the clutch a time or two to get fluid to that. Once I get fluid to the actual tail of it, should bleed. I mean, it should bleed right out, but I mean, it took us absolutely forever to get it to bleed last time. So if I can at least get fluid in the actual master cylinder, I think we should be good. And then I'll push it up and get it back on the lift, get it lifted, and tie the slave cylinder back in, get it bolted up, and then we should be able to bleed all the air out of it at that point. Should. So yeah, so if you have issues bleeding these, I'm gonna just try this. We did it just a normal standard way last time, and it took forever. So I'm just gonna try it like this. And if I can get fluid come out of that line, the lower line, it should bleed. It should be fine. Should be, and we just get the air out of it. So just gotta get it primed. All right, we'll see how it goes. All right, well, I couldn't get it to go anywhere doing that method. I would actually bleed it, you know, pump it with my hand and hold my fingers over the line and try to control, you know, just that way I didn't have to keep letting the car up and down to break the bleeder. But my son should be off school here shortly. Hopefully he stops by. So I did tie it back in. It's gonna be kind of dark. I don't have my light here. But there's the line. We're gonna have to get some kind of hanger. I've got it ran. It's installed here. So that's tied in. The bleeder is right there. So we'll have to get some kind of something to do better with these wires. There's a line. It was too short the other way, and it's a hair too long this way. So I decided to go ahead and put it back on. And we do have the test pipes. So I'm gonna kind of match those up and see if those are the right ones for this car. And I may change those out today too. All right, so I took the catted downpipes off the G35. The test pipes is actually what they're called, but there's a catless downpipes, and they actually fit really, really well. So we're gonna crank it up. I should have some video footage I can insert here, somewhere in there. But yeah, and then this is the now footage. it's definitely a rougher, raspier sound. Even had some backfiring going on. It was definitely louder. The throttle response was way better. It seemed like the RPM shot up a lot quicker too, with less restriction. It seemed like it could breathe a lot better. So maybe a little quicker car. So we will see. Still hadn't bled the wheelwood set. Other than that, I've got everything wrapped up on it. And besides bleeding the clutch, and yeah, that's gonna be a pain. It's already not bleeding out. So, all right, we'll get back to that and full with that, but the test pipes are changed out. And what I did take off, so that way you can actually see, I took off the catted down pipes to just a straight stainless test pipe. So I took the ISR catted down pipes and took those off and put on just the cheap knockoff test pipe, you want to call it. It's just straight pipe, flange to flange. There's nothing in between, and it's the cheap eBay knockoff stainless, and it literally fit direct bolt on. So absolutely super quick install. Maybe I want to say an hour, because I had a bolt on both sides. It's hard to get to on the top. Taking them off, put them on, they're not that bad. A little quicker putting on, and it came with all the gaskets, all the bolts. Yeah, all the hardware's good. Yeah, it's worth the money. So we'll get it on the road one day. I don't know if we'll get it today. If I can get the clutch bled out, maybe. And we'll see from there. But yeah, it's worth the money. So far, as far as fitment and looks and sound, is a little raspier and louder, which I wanted louder, but we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. All right, so I'm about to wrap it up for today. On the G35, I did get the test pipes on, got all the clutch lines and everything hooked back up. I did get it to prime. I need to, my son's gonna be here one day this weekend possibly and help me actually bleed it, but I did get actually, so I took an air hose and filled the lines full of actual power clutch fluid down in the line, and I stuck an air hose in it, sealed it up with a clamp, and just bumped it, and I heard it pressurize and push fluid down through the actual clutch slave cylinder. So then I topped it back off, and then we actually had clutch. I heard it actually pop the clutch up. So everything's solid-ish. It needs to be bled. It's got some air bubbles in it. So when I get him here to help me bleed it, it's actually primed now. So when we get it bled out, I may have to adjust the actual rod on the actual pedal. And if it doesn't adjust out and it's still trying to grind into a couple of the gears, I'm gonna have to put a clutch in this thing. So yeah, but I got as far as I can go with that. My son was driving my Dodge, and then it has the hydro boost, and so if you leak power steering fluid, you end up not having brakes and everything. Well, I topped off the fluids and stuff today. I ran it for, I'd say easy, an hour. Turning it, hitting the brakes, and after it primed everything up, it loosened everything up, had good brakes and all that, and didn't really leak. So not really sure what that's about. So next day I get over here, I'll at least have it on the lift, I can fool with it. And I've always, since I've had it, I've had problems with the four-wheel drive. So I think maybe I think the transmission's been replaced in this thing, so possibly they didn't hook the transfer case up right. I don't know, I bought it that way. So I just knew it was the actuator in the front, and mine is like the rare one that doesn't have the actuator on the front front diff or whatever. I've had people, oh yeah, it's the vacuum on the front diff. It's not there, there's not one. There's not one. If you're a car guy, you're saying, yeah, there is. No, there's not. It's not there. So I've got to figure out if it's the transfer case. That's the only thing it can be. Could be the linkage to the transfer case. Trust me, there's an 02 Dodge 5.9 Cummins that has an all-time front locked front end, and the transfer case is the only thing that actuates. It's not a vacuum. Trust me. But yeah, so I need to figure out that thing, see if the transfer case is just bad. I got my green Ford loaded up. I'm gonna take it home. I've been driving it, so I was gonna get it out of here while I was here, dropping this off so I can carry that instead of having to leave my rollback. Probably working on rentals tomorrow. So I've done as far as I can go. I didn't get a chance to jump back on the Subaru motor and start shifting some of the functioning vehicles like the G35 once I'm happy with it, Dodge once I'm happy with it, my green Ford, the white GMC Canyon, and just get them all to the house, and the things that don't run or needs work, bring them here. So that way the Civics that I have, the other couple of cars I'm planning on keeping, and then take the ones outside that I'm not planning on keeping, just get them gone and rotate everything, driving back to the house. But all right, that's a wrap for today. I appreciate you watching our video. Hey, if you want to email us anything, it's chesserenterprises@yahoo.com. We're on Instagram at chesseredrifting. I think Chesser Enterprises there maybe. And Facebook, definitely Chesser Motorsports. And on eBay, it's Chesser Motorsports is our, I can't ever think of what the name, whatever. We're Chesser Motorsports on eBay. That's where our Chesser Drifting, all of our merch stuff is. We're looking at some other items to start, having for merch. If you want to pick up anything local, just shoot me a email. Most people around here have my cell phone number and they just text me. But if you want any of that stuff, give me a shout. I don't have a lot of the lanyards. I've got just very few of the lanyards left. They're hanging there. I've got just a few of those left. And I don't know if we'll go back to the same design. We may change it. We may do a new design and keep those. I'm not really sure where we're going to go with that. And we're looking at some other stuff too. And the decals, the Chesser Drifting, we may get some more colors in, because I think blue, green, and red is all we have, and so we may end up changing colors too. So just kind of stay tuned for some of that. As we drop it, you'll be the first to know. And yeah, hey guys, thanks for watching.